Good morning and welcome to Channel 4 News. This past week, in response to a terrible tragedy that happened in our own town, songwriter Pete Seeger wrote a song titled If You Miss Me at the Back of the Bus.
As you may have heard, a young African American drowned while swimming in a local river because of segregation laws preventing him from swimming in his own neighborhood swimming pool.
Today, we will be interviewing Pete Seeger himself and discussing the message and significance of his song. Good morning, Pete. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So Pete, could you explain a little more about why you wrote this song?
I wrote this song as a way to create awareness for the segregation throughout the country. Hopefully the song will inspire people to have the courage to resist unjust treatment they've been experiencing.
I noticed you have a lot of parallelism throughout your song. How did you use that?
The parallelism throughout the song helped me to create coherence to connect each instance of segregation to show that they are all happening at the same time.
The repetition of structure in the stanzas shown by setting up a past situation and then how it has changed, or how it should change because of the civil rights movement, shows how the resistance of many people to racist acts can make such a positive difference.
You specifically mentioned many different historical connections throughout the song. Can you discuss your connection to the Montgomery bus boycott?
In the first stanza, the line that says, "If you miss me at the back of the bus," references the fact that African Americans were required to sit at the back of the bus in the colored section.
And because of this, the Student Christian Leadership Conference, led by Martin Luther King Jr., started the Montgomery bus boycott, where African Americans stopped riding the buses.
There were many Jim Crow laws that separated whites from blacks in public places, such as a bus or a public swimming pool. This is referenced in the song in the line, "Come on over to the swimming pool, I'll be swimming over there."
This is an example of how the African Americans didn't accept what was expected of them by whites.
I also noticed you use a specific kind of diction in the song.
Yes, I was hoping that the informal diction saying "sittin" instead of "sitting" would create a familiar feel so that those listening could relate to it better.
In one of the stanzas, you mentioned two different schools, Jackson State and Ole Miss. Why specifically these schools?
When he says, "If you miss me at Jackson State and you can't find me nowhere, come on over to Ole Miss, I'll be learning right there," he is referencing the integration he is trying to inspire so that the black people won't stand with unfair segregation anymore.
Jackson State was predominantly an all-black school, while Ole Miss was all-white. In the Ole Miss riot of 1962, Southern segregationists protested the entry of a black student into the college. However, the student, James Meredith, was allowed to go to school, and the college eventually became integrated.
You referenced picket lines later on in the song. Picket lines were used as a way of protesting. However, some people were arrested and sent to jail. This is referenced in the line, "Come on down to the jailhouse, I'll be rooming over there."
It shows that the African Americans who were protesting were not afraid to be put in jail in order to fight for their freedom. Many forms of protest began in arrest as a result of a type of civil disobedience. Rosa Parks' arrest sparked the bus boycott, and students were arrested for participating in the sit-ins.
The last historical reference you mentioned is in the line, "If you miss me at the cotton fields, come on down to the courthouse, I'll be voting over there."
During the years of slavery, when African Americans had to pick cotton, they could not vote. However, after many years of fighting for voting rights, the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was passed, prohibiting all discriminatory voting practices against blacks, such as literacy tests.
Finally, the tone you created in the song seems to be meant to raise the spirits of the listeners. Why did you choose to compose such a positive piece within such an oppressive period in U.S. history?
Yes, in each stanza you repeat, "I'll be swimming over there," or "I'll be voting over there." With the use of future tense rather than present, you seem to instill a mood of confidence and excitement, perhaps that African Americans have finally forged their path to victory over discrimination.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to portray. I wish to implement specific historical references in addition to the emotions African Americans may feel once they receive the rights they deserve.
Okay, it seems we have cut a little bit into our commercial break, but thank you, Pete, for sharing your story with us. Your song is truly a beacon of light for social justice. And now, a few words from our sponsors.